What I want to demonstrate is some of the somewhat simple features I've added to Rainback so far. Um, Let me show you what I got real quick. Okay, so there you can see that I have frames laid out. And just to give you an idea of the code that it took to make this demo, um, I will show you these few files. Okay, so make it a little bit bigger, so it scales a little bit. Okay, so that's what's going on, and that's it. What happens is whenever Rainback loads up, it loads all the scripts in this directory, which there are three, poorly named, admittedly, and just runs through them. And if you're familiar with FreedomMod at all, which probably few of you are, but if you are, then you'll see that the code is identical to the same FreedomMod code that you would write in WoW, since FreedomMod is at one point a WoW add-on. So what I did is I basically just implemented all the various WoW classes, of which there are surprisingly very few, but all the WoW classes that are exposed into Lua, and re-implemented them to be backed by Qt, and that project in sum was called Rainback. Um, so yeah, this code on the right here sets up this part, and it's fairly simple code to get all this going. The key here is these two for loops to construct things, and then this code on the left sets up this list right here. It also sets up this debug trace button. And this demo was actually made pretty early on in this whole process because it was a good test case. What I didn't have is I didn't have this frames draggable line, which what it does is it basically says, or basically makes the frame be able to be dragged. So it's not very surprising. And one good thing is that FreedomMod had a pretty good dragging implementation that was dependent almost solely on mouse movements and things like that. I think WoW provides their own dragging API that's high level, and I forget why I didn't use that, but it paid off now because all I had to do was get essentially mouse clicks and moves in, and now I can basically move everything around. So let me just show you. Um, you can move these all sorts of frames however you want, and if you look down here to this code, this is setting up this debug traces off button. So you can see it just constructs a new font string in WoW lingo, sets the text. And this callback click is exactly what you'd expect. It just toggles the debug trace and then changes the text. So as you can see here, it's not very impressive. If you want to see what's going on in the background, here it is. So, whoops. Yeah, as you can see, the debug view is on. And you can also see the events here. One critical piece is that WoW is, for the most part, coordinate system agnostic. And with FreedomMod, it's almost entirely coordinate system agnostic. And by that, I mean the offsets and what is positive and what is negative is dependent solely on the anchors that you're working with, which is convenient because instead of having well, in WoW, all the positive offsets to determine these gaps here head in this direction, and I think in this direction. So they head left and up, which means the origin is down here. So FreedomMod worked around this by basically saying that the gaps are relative. So positive gaps are heading away from the the reference frame. So this blue one has a gap, and if I increased it, the blue one would move further and further away, and the negative ones go in the opposite direction, of course. So there's a little bit of confusion or just complexity in trying to convert that, because, for example, when I do drag this, the position is actually being changed relative to this bottom corner, and that's somewhat of a legacy. because I could just as well make it based on this top corner and then save myself some headache. But even in spite of that, there are some other problems that you run into trying to make sure that matchup works as well. So what I basically did is I basically said Rainback has their coordinate system like QT, and only the wrappers that go from QT to FreedomOdd and WoW itself handle the conversion. So unless you're hopping back and forth between the two systems, you should be pretty much all right. Yeah, and the anchoring part. Let me turn this off real quick. The anchoring part works just as well. You can see here that all these are anchored and all these are staying relative. So I could actually take this and essentially break it apart. One key point there is that I can't. They don't recombine at some later point. So as you can see now that I've broken all the anchors, they're at this point not reconnectable. It would be nice to get that in there, but it's not. I don't think it's quite as useful as you would think. But at any rate, it's something I do want to get at least something going in there. But so that's kind of what I've been working on so far. So I just want to show you guys, how things are going. And again, this is the code, and as you can see, it's basically just straight FreedomOdd. I think you can take this verbatim and run it in Hack. The only thing you have to take out is these required statements at the top. So there it is. Thanks for watching.